Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whisky. My name is Vin PF, and on today's episode we're going back over to Ireland to check out some Waterford. Now, it's been a while since I covered any Waterford. I actually went to their distillery quite a few years ago now, but I'll drop a link to the video for that. It was a really nice day out, and a massive thank you to them for sending this over to me for review. Now, this is one of their kind of new releases. This is the Cuvee Koffi. Hopefully I'm saying all of those words right, but it's really cool for me to have this because I'm severely lacking in Irish whiskey at the moment, mostly favouring world whiskey and Scotch, but I'm looking to change that over this year. I'll keep promising that, but I'll promise I'll get some more Irish as best I can. Now, Waterford, I mean, look straight away, I was going to say, look at this bottle, it's stunning. Love the fact that it's a blue, I can still see through it. We've got a nice little red topper here to contrast it. It's one of those glass toppers as well that you have to rock to get off, which I quite like. But yeah, I don't often talk about the bottles themselves, but that's actually a fantastic product, and it came with a really lovely box as well, but you know me, I don't really talk about the boxes on the channel. Now, the thing with Waterford is their transparency is king. You know, their terroir and their transparency. Both a lot of things. You know, Mark Rayner does that a lot with his distilleries, and I appreciate it because for me, I love that sort of stuff. You know, I was talking fairly recently on videos where transparency for me is the absolute winner. If you can't put stuff on the label, then give me a QR code that I can scan so I can go and get all that kind of nerdy information. And that's what we've got here. We've got a QR code on the back. It's this one isn't unique to the bottle. It's a code for the whole of the batch with this, and I'll run through what that means in a little bit. But basically, anyone can check this out. You don't have to have the bottle to get it. So again, I'll drop a link in the description below for the rundown of everything that goes into this. Some of which I'll go through today. Now, the point of this whiskey then is a sort of really to bring together the kind of aims of the distillery that they've been working towards so far. A lot of what Waterford do are based on kind of, they call it single farm whiskey. So they are, like, their transparency goes all the way back to the individual farms where these the barleys are obtained from. The whole point of that is that they're basically selecting barleys for the specific areas and the specific soil types and whatnot to kind of improve flavour, yield, all this kind of thing. And what they've been doing over the last few years is releasing single farm whiskey so that anyone who buys them can tell the differences between the grains using the same distillation process and maybe some different barrels and whatnot. Now, as you can see by the label here, all the different kind of like layers, this is the artist is Nathaniel Coffey, which is where the names come from. The whole point of this is that they've taken 24 farms and 38 different barrels. These are all different kinds, well, which I'll go into in a little bit. They've taken all of those different farms and layered them on together to create this new amalgamation. Now, if you look at their liveries, their kind of their PR statements, they're trying to say this is like the big wine version or whatever, but not too worried about that. But for me, I'm just interested in the fact that they're producing something that they're aiming to be complex and layers upon layers of stuff. So that's good. We like that. So in terms of what this actual whiskey is, we've got a non-chill filtered, natural coloured, 50%. This runs for about sort of 80-85 euros. You'll obviously have to check out your individual markets what you're going to get with it. So it's running fairly expensive, but we'll get into kind of value a little bit later on. In terms of cask makeup, then earlier on I said 38 casks, and I will have to refer to my notes a little bit for that. Out of those 38 casks, you've got 35% in first fill US, so I guess ex-bourbon, 20% virgin US, 25% French oak, and 20% vin de natural. I won't get into exactly what that means, but that's that's whatever it is. All of these different distillations occurred in 2016, all between February and October of that year. They were then married in their own casks, so this is their single farm distillation in a cask that's selected for that particular distillate. That's been then aged away for 6 odd years. That was all then combined in October 2022 and bottled in July 2023. Now, all of this information I've just been able to get from their website. Obviously, there's some marketing fluff in there as well, so if you're not interested in that, you can kind of skip on past. But they even go into things like yeast, temperatures, and then you can go really granular into the individual barrels, which I think is pretty cool. I enjoy that sort of thing. It really helps me do my reviews at the very least. But yeah, so it's an interesting whiskey. I think the best thing to do then is probably just get into it and see what we've actually got in the glass. and have a look at it. You know, it's got a good colour on it. We like that. Let's get onto the nose and see what we got. Now, one of the things they talk about on the marketing is that because it's so layered and so complex that you should get something different every time. Personally, that's not my experience of it, but that doesn't mean that it's not lovely. It just means that I'm getting what I'm getting. You know, I'm about this far down the bottle so far, so I'm not going to say for sure. You know, when I actually finish this bottle, maybe I'll have a different experience. But for me, it's just been lovely every time I've come to it. Straight away on the nose, it's oranges, kind of like, I don't know, like steeped oranges almost. Apple peel, and the back end is a bit of a fudge, and also a bit of tobacco, which is odd. Starts out kind of sweetness, and it's ending with that kind of mustiness on the back end. So yeah, you know, like I said, there's lots of stuff different going on in this. It's pretty good. Let's try on the palate. Okay, so on the palate, we're getting sweet oranges, a bit of brown sugar, and then as an odd tasting note on the back end, I get a little bit of like aniseed. Not much, I'm not talking like it's like Sambuca style, but just a little bit of that kind of star anise at the back end, which I'm really enjoying. The finish is pretty long actually, and nice and sweet. And again, that aniseed coming through, which is nice because usually when I get on the back end, I'm usually talking about black pepper spice or rye spice or white pepper spice, something kind of spicy on the back end. And that isn't this, you know, it's nice and sweet all the way through. And it's just got that little bit of kind of mentholy aniseediness at the back end, which is really nice. Let's have another quick sip. Now, so Waterford, obviously I'm a big fan of Waterford. I enjoy their stuff. The truth is though, I don't tend to buy it. It doesn't show up on my radar very often. Obviously we don't see it in shops much. You have to go direct to get it. It is quite expensive, I'm not going to lie. At €85, kind of RRP. I've seen it cheaper, I'm not going to lie again. I've seen it cheaper, but I'm not going to quote you prices or whatever because it changes all the time, depending on who's got stock and who hasn't. I imagine it's going to be pretty difficult to get hold of. I don't think it's kind of really secondary market vibes, you know, so I'm not saying drop everything and go and get this. But for €85 or whatever that translates to in Great British pounds, it's probably just a little bit too much for me to buy generally, but it is lovely, and that's the kind of like sticking point where I'm at. It's one of those ones where they've done a really good job of this. It's just becoming a little bit inaccessible for me personally to buy on a regular. That said, I'm really glad because this is my only Irish bottle again. I'm really bad at buying Irish whiskey, so I'm really glad to have this in the old collection behind me. I'll probably reach for this quite a lot. It's one of those sweet whiskies where, you know, I fancy that quite regularly. I quite fancy a sweet whiskey. I'm not really a sweet tooth kind of person, but when it comes to my whiskey, I do like a sweeter whiskey, so I'll probably end up reaching for this fairly regularly. I imagine it'll end up on Whisky and Whisky Out pretty soon as well, so make sure you look out for that. But yeah, let me know below if you've tried this before, if you've tried any of the other Waterfords and what you think. I imagine it's one of those ones where you're a fan or you're not. I know plenty of people that's exactly how it is. They love Waterford or they don't. I think to round it out, if you love Waterford, you're absolutely going to love this, and if you don't, it's probably not going to be the one that makes you jump ship. Hopefully one day they'll release more and more of these kind of big blend together, single malts, whatever you want to call them, and they'll just get cheaper and cheaper. That's my hope, you know, when they can get some bulk together. But we'll see. It's not really their vibe, but yeah. Thanks again for them sending this over. Thanks to you for watching, and I'll see you again on more videos soon. Cheers. But yeah, it's just